John Jacob shows you a more practical way to play this wonderful game. But first, to introduce the show, a well-known amateur enthusiast, Sean Connery.
Even though we Scots invented the game of golf, we still have to learn how to play it if we want to play it well. And so does everybody else. John Jacobs has a reputation of being golf's finest teacher. Now, I know from personal experience how well justified that is. No one I've encountered has such a practical approach to teaching the game, and no one has been able to make it more logical and simple for me. And I'm certain that John will open your eyes and lower your scores with this new series of his.
Thanks very much, Sean. Now, in this program, I'm going to talk about the full golf swing. But I want you to understand right from the outset, the function of the golf swing is to provide the correct contact of club and ball. For me, golf is ball control. And we can't control the ball unless we can have the club behaving itself when it hits it. Now, what is the correct impact? There are three very distinct facets to impact. I want to talk first about the club face. I've got two lines on the ground here, you will see. That one representing the target line, that one is at right angles to it. To hit a straight shot, we have to have the club face square. You'll see here, if I just swing the club through the ball with the club face square, the ball will go along the target line. I've got some air balls here. I'm going to hit a couple of shots, one with the club face open, one with the club face closed. These don't go very far, and therefore they'll stay within our camera range, and you can see what will happen when first I hit the ball with the club face open. You see the ball goes to the right of the target. This one with the club face closed. And this time to the left of the target. Now, I haven't hit them miles out of camera range, but I just want you to see that with the face open, the ball goes to the right. With the face closed, the ball goes to the left. So obviously, we have to get the club face square at impact. So that's the first and quite definitely the most important thing about impact. But also, we have to have the club swinging along the target line. So at impact, not only has the club face to be square, but the club has to be traveling along the target line. Although the swing path is from the inside, and more about that later, but at impact has to be on line if the ball is going to go on line. So that's two dimensions. Club face has to be square, swing path has to be straight. And the third dimension, I suppose in the millions of words which have been written about this game, most people have quite forgotten that we're trying to move the ball forward. Now, since the ball is on the ground, the club swings up, swings down, and swings up again. I think you'll see better from this angle. There will be an angle of approach of the club to the ball. There is an upswing and a downswing. So the angle of approach of the club to the ball has to be appropriate for moving the ball forward. The swing is from the inside to straight, with the bottom of the arc relatively shallow. We're trying to move the ball forward. And the fourth dimension, club head speed. Now, in my experience, and I've been teaching this game for a very long time, I haven't met very many people who haven't got enough club head speed. They've got the club head speed, but unfortunately, they're applying the club incorrectly to the ball, so often with the club face open. And if you hit the ball with the club face open, as you've already seen, the ball goes out to the right. Open club face, ball to the right. Most golfers immediately react to shots consistently going out to the right by swinging out to in. They swing to the left. And when they swing to the left, they get a very steep angle of attack, which is fairly useless for propelling the ball forward. You lose distance if you hit down too much. The converse of that, if you hit the ball with the club face closed, this time you will see the ball will finish to the left, and once shots go to the left, the reaction will be to swing into out. Now, an into-out swing doesn't hit down at all. In actual fact, by the time you get to the ball, you will be swinging up. Look at it from this angle, and if I just swing behind the ball here, you'll see an into-out swing. The bottom of the arc is right behind the ball. It's not coinciding with the ball, and therefore the swing will be coming up from there on, hence a lot of top shots, and if there is a divot at all, it will be behind the ball, that sort of thing. So remember, the function of the golf swing is to provide the correct impact of club and ball. Club face square, swing path straight, correct angle of attack. Now, the easiest way to achieve that is to address the ball correctly in the first place. That's why the setup is so important, because it directly relates to the impact. The most important part about the address position, to my mind, is the grip, since the grip controls the club face, and I hope you're already alerted to how important the club face is. Now, there's no mystique about the grip. You're trying to find your hand position at address, which is going to be your hand position at impact. For myself, I know that my hands are about in that position, that is with the V's between the thumb and first finger of both hands pointing just to the right of the chin. I know they're about there when I hit the ball, so I start with them there, since that's where I'm going to come back to. I wonder if you can see what would happen if I started with my hands around here, but I say my impact position is with the V's in that position. Obviously, the club face is going to be far too open at impact. Similarly, if I started with my hands way around here, but my impact position is back to my position there, then of course I would close the club too much. So there's no mystique. You're trying to find your position at address which will match up at impact. Let me talk about the grip in more detail. Now, I don't think it really matters whether you overlap the little finger like the famous Harry Vardon, that's known as the Harry Vardon grip, or interlock the two little fingers like the great Jack Nicklaus, or indeed use all the fingers of the right hand. What is important, as I've explained to you already, is that the hands are at the correct angle. But in detail, the club in the left hand is across the fingers and the base of the palm. It's not in the fingers, it's not in the palm. The V form between the thumb and first finger points somewhere between the chin and the right shoulder, and the thumb is about a third of the way around the shaft. The right hand, the hollow of the right hand, fits on top of the left thumb. In my case, the little finger sits on top. I use the Harry Vardon grip, and the grip in the right hand is very much in the fingers, not in the palm at all this time, fingers of the right hand, so that when I close the right hand, both V's are in the same direction, and the hands fit snugly together, and it works as one unit. It's not just the position of the grip, it is also the pressure of the grip. If you tend to leave the club face open coming into the ball, you would need to grip lighter to allow the club head to catch up and square up at impact. On the other hand, if you were someone who continually closed the club face, which would mean the wrists were working independent of the arms, then you would need to grip more firmly. So if you tend to hook, a fairly firm grip. If you tend to slice, keep it light. The grip, I always think, for children, young people when they're starting the game, it's most important that they do start by getting the club face square. The worst thing in the world for a youngster is to start with the open club face, the ball slices, and they immediately learn the wrong action. So young people, and most ladies I would say too, need to have the V's fairly well over. That is giving them the strength of the left arm. So young people, ladies, a strong grip. Most tournament players, the great players, have started that way as children. That's why they become good players. But of course, as they get stronger, the ball tends to hook, and then they have to change to what we would describe a weaker grip. Ben Hogan, Arnold Palmer, they're people who have done that. They now use a grip with both V's going up to the chin. Don't be frightened of doing a little experimenting. Both hands together, both V's parallel. If you tend to slice the ball to the right, turn the hands a little to the right. If you turn the hands to the left, you would do that when the ball is hooking to the left. Very important part of the game. Learn how to hold the club. The correct grip then gives us the best chance of controlling the club face. Now, how about hitting straight through? Now, this is where we've got to be able to set up to the ball correctly. Now, the correct setup means we've got to get two things right. We've got to get the aim of the club on target and the body parallel to the aim. And it's terribly important you do it that way round. You start by aiming the club, usually by looking from behind, looking down through the ball to the target. Of course, in this instance, this lovely tape here makes it easy. It draws out for me what I want you to see. The club aiming straight at the target. The aim of the club positions the handle and tells me exactly where to put my feet. I'm going to do it incorrectly so that you can see what I mean. If I inadvertently aim that club to the right, which would be a mistake, I'm sure you can see the handle has gone too far forward and I will immediately stand in the wrong position. If I aim the club to the left, the handle will be too far back and I will be standing too far behind the ball. So we have to start by aiming the club in the most ordinary manner with the correct loft on the club. I've got a 6-iron here, so this has got to be square to the target with the 6-iron loft. I mustn't change it into something stronger. For instance, that time I've taken the loft off the club, it's put the handle too far forward, and I will be ahead of the ball. If I put the 6-iron down like an 8-iron, the handle will be too far back and I'll be too far behind the ball. Now, in very, very simple terms, put the maker's loft on the club, 6-iron in this case, aim it at the target. That will position the handle and it will position the feet. It does not position the shoulders. Remember, we've got to aim the club correctly and the shoulders must be parallel. It's the simple T with the club on target, body parallel. Feet are important. I would say shoulders are more important. It's possible for me to play from that position with the feet open. It's possible for me to play from this position. What is terribly difficult is to play from this position. So it's important to have the club on line, the body parallel. Now, because the left hand is the higher of the two, the left is at the top, the right is underneath, the left shoulder will be slightly higher than the right shoulder. Do remember, aim the club, keeping the loft on the club. Feet in position from the club, keep the shoulders square, left shoulder up, right underneath the left. If you're in the correct address position, you will see the way the club should go back. I think it's important that you understand the two lines on a golf club. The bottom line is the one we aim at the target. The top line, which is not parallel to the bottom line, that one is the one that gives us the swing path in the backswing. Looking down the shot, club on target, the bottom of the blade, the top of the blade, if I am standing square, will tell me exactly where to swing the club. At this stage then, we've got the correct grip to take care of the club face. We've got the correct aim of the club and set of the body to make it possible to hit straight through. So we've got two things dealt with at impact as far as it's possible to deal with them at address. Now, how about this last one, this important one, the angle of attack? Remember, the club has got to swing through the ball in such a way that that's going to propel the power through the ball forward, not into the ground. Now, let me point out to you at this stage that we're playing a game whereby the ball is positioned to the side of us. I'm over here, the ball is over there. Now, that very fact means that the arc of the swing is going to be from the inside through the golf ball, straight through the ball, parallel to this line, and back to the inside. Now, it's terribly important to get the correct posture with the knees bent and the back straight so that when the body moves, it allows the club to come to the inside and go back to the inside. That's why we have to have the knees bent and the back straight. quite wrong to have the head too far forward. That very view of the golf ball will tend to take the club too straight back, and the shoulders won't turn, the shoulders will rock, and the club will swing on a straight line. It's not a straight line, the ball is to the side. Now, if you're in the correct posture, the arms will hang free because it's the arms and hands which are going to swing the club, but it is the moving out of the way of the body which is going to allow the club to come to the inside and go back to the inside. The weight will want to be on the flat of the feet. If the weight is too far forward, the angles will be wrong. If the weight is too far back, well then of course the body will turn too flat and the club will come too much inside. So let me sum up the address position. Terribly important to hold the club correctly if we're going to have a square club face at impact. Vital to be able to aim the club in the correct direction. Let that fix the ball in the correct position relative to the feet. Have the shoulders square and the correct posture. Now I can almost hear you saying to yourselves, that's an awful lot to do. I agree it is. But at this stage, you are fully operative. This is a drill that you can learn. You can learn to hold it, to aim it, to stand correctly. Once you swing the club, I don't think many of us can think of more than two things, and in actual fact, I would say think of two things when you're practicing, and you've got to get that down to one when you're playing golf. So do make sure you have given yourself every chance. If I go to an Open Championship and I see some great player not playing his best, I can assure you that 99 times out of 100, he's got out of the right address position. He's struggling to start from the right place. I suppose Jack Nicklaus, everyone would agree, has been the best player over the last 20 years, and I'm convinced it's because he makes the effort every time, even with every practice shot, to go through the correct drill of aim, grip, stance and posture. Now, if you're in that correct position, you will get a view of the backswing and the body will move to accommodate the swing. So at this stage, we're all ready to go. At last, the golf swing. Now, this is the fun part, isn't it? We finally get to hit some golf balls. But don't forget, let's address it correctly, and then we can start to swing the club. Now, I've already pointed out to you one of the aspects of the address position. The ball is to the side of us, and therefore the arc is from in back to in, and we move the body to allow that to happen. But the ball isn't just to the side, the ball is also on the ground. So as we turn, the arms swing the club up and down. And in its simplest terms, the golf swing is a combination of body action and hand and arm action. We turn the body, and at the same time we swing the club up, we swing it down again at the same time that we swing through. In its very simple terms, I would say, golf, you have to hold the club so that the club face is going to be square. You have to aim the club so that it will be on target, and the body must be parallel and in the correct posture. The backswing is to get the golf club aimed parallel to the target line, in the correct plane. Now, this would be aimed correctly, but it would be in the wrong plane. That would be too steep. This would be aimed correctly, but that would again be in the wrong plane. This would be in the correct plane, but it's in the wrong direction. Now, hopefully you can see that the backswing is to get the golf club aimed in the correct plane, and then we use the golf club to swing it through the ball to propel the ball forward. Now, that's golf in its simplest terms, but I would have to say there is just a little bit more to it than that. I have said repeatedly how important the address position is. If you're in the correct address position, you will actually get a preview of where the club should go. It's important we don't get too static at address for the simple reason we are going to swing the club. So we would what we call waggle. And again, the waggle will be in the direction that we're going to swing the club. If we're in the right address position, the fact that we are to the side of something, the club will swing back to the inside and you will get a view of where the club is going to swing. Swinging back on the inside, the upper part of the body will turn, and I mean turn, not tilt, in order to make room for the club to swing up on the inside, so that eventually at the top of the backswing the club will be parallel to the target line in the correct plane. Now it is vital that you should get a view of the backswing, because that picture of where the club should go will help you to swing the club up at the same time that you turn. You see, one of the difficulties of this game, we swing the club up and down at the same time that we turn. I suppose me asking you to do that is almost like me saying, rub your tummy this way with one hand and stroke your head with this one, which is difficult to do. But if you will think in terms of the direction and keep the club swinging up on that direction, if you can keep the direction in mind, the club goes up as the shoulders turn. If you have no view of the direction, when you turn, the club could follow the turn too much. That would be totally wrong. That would be what we would call a flat swing. The body is turning correctly, but the club is following the turn too much. Again, if you saw the swing path, keep it on that direction, the club will go up. This would be swinging the club up correctly, but the body going with it. They're both in the same plane. The arms, club, and shoulders have got to be in two separate planes. That is very easily achieved if you get a view of the swing path, swing the club up on that path as you turn the shoulders. Now, I stress turning the shoulders. The lower half of the body, this is where leg action is very important. The lower half resists. These angles that we've set, remember the posture we needed for the correct turn, those angles stay the same. Good leg action, you don't see it, but good leg action is a resisting of the shoulders turning. The shoulders turn, the club swings up on that predetermined path. So we arrive. Club parallel to the target line, shoulders turn completely, legs still maintaining the angles they had at address. Now the left arm is important in that the left arm has got to stay long enough in order to keep this side of the swing wide enough to create the correct angle of attack. If the left arm bends tremendously, obviously the swing will become too steep. So the swing is there, the shoulder moves to allow it to go there, and the left arm stays long enough to create the correct width. At the same time, the right elbow folds and the club arrives in the right position, plane and direction, with the body wound up. So the top of the backswing is A, to get the club in the correct position, and B, to get the body in the correct position, which is with the shoulders turned, with the lower half resisting. This is a fairway wood, remember, and that's a pretty full swing for me. And I would say the full swing, the club virtually reaches the target. In other words, it's parallel to the ground. But that's a very individual thing. Some people with softer wrists, and I might say 30 years ago, I used to swing it a bit further anyway, but with the wrists a little bit softer, the club would swing a little longer, and equally, hard wrists, more solid, the club would be shorter. It isn't necessary for the club to be parallel to the ground exactly at the target. But it is important that the club is in the direction of the target in the correct plane. The top of the backswing, the wrists, it's very much more important where the club is than where the wrists are. That's a straight left wrist. As long as the club is in position, that's perfectly in order. But so is that. There can be a degree of cup there. The great Ben Hogan swore by cupping the left wrist. Not very important. Where the club is very important. The different clubs. I'm going to go from a 3-wood to a very short iron, a 9-iron. Now this one, very short club, means that I'm going to stand very much closer to the ball. Very close to the ball means that the golf club will swing on a more upright plane. Happily, we don't have to do anything about that. The very length of the club, the distance from the ball, is going to deal with the plane for us. Do remember what the backswing is for. It's to get the club in the correct plane and direction, and to get the body in the correct position. That's what the backswing is for. And I can assure you, if we've got the club in the right position and the body in the right position, the downswing becomes relatively easy. It's very difficult when the body has turned correctly, but the club's gone with it. The downswing is going to be ruined. If the club's gone up, but the body's gone with it, the downswing is going to be ruined. See the path. Turn the right side out of the way, resist with the legs, and let the club go up onto the target. How far you swing, very individual thing. I really did enjoy that last one. I suppose that's why we all play, isn't it? The feel of a good golf shot. Now the downswing. We've gone through the drill of the correct address. We've swung the club up as we turned. The downswing, very much a reversal of that. We've got to the top correctly, so the arms are in a different plane to the shoulders. They're not locked together. We've still got this visualization of the path of the backswing. From the top then, we swing the club down, but this time we turn the lower half through the ball. In the backswing, we turned the shoulders and swung the club up. This time I'm going to swing the club down and turn the body through. Never any independent movement, remember, in the golf swing. I suppose one ought to describe it as addressing correctly and then swinging to the setup. The correct setup, and then the golf club must swing relative to the setup. No point in a big change of direction from the top of the backswing. Now this is where the arms are so important. They have to swing the club down at the same time that the body turns through. Like this, look. From the top, the arms down as the body turns through, and there it is. I enjoyed that one too, I might say. So from the top, arms down the same path as we went up, body making room for the club to come from the inside to straight through and back to the inside again. Now that arc from inside back to the inside does two very important things. It squares up the club face at impact, and swinging from inside back to the inside is going to maximize club head speed. The body is out of the way, allowing the club to come from in back to in. Golf is being able to set up correctly, yes, but we have to swing the club to the setup. In other words, we address it right here, and then we have to swing the club relative to the setup. There's no point in changing direction from the top of the backswing. Now this, of course, is where the arms are so important, and also the shape of the backswing. If the body turns but the club swings up, since it swings up, it is likely to swing down. We don't want the club too closely associated to the body. So from the top of the backswing then, still be aware of hitting from the inside with the arms. Swing the arms down that path, but again, nothing independent. We swing the arms at the same time that we move the lower half of the body. Arms down at the same time that I turn the body through. Arms down there, body through. Now if we can do that, we arrive with the correct arc. We hit from the inside, going back to the inside. Now that means that the arms can swing free through the golf ball. We get a very wide hit. The club face, which is open to the swing path this side and closed to the swing path that side, will go from open to closed very slowly and very repetitively if we swing down from the inside and move the body out of the way. We get a very wide extension through the ball, which is terribly important in controlling the club face. If the body stays in the way, everything stops except the club, and then of course it snaps closed.